turn yourself in, but they are ruthless, hungry and in power again.
What's up, folks? Welcome back to the #1 YouTube channel in all of the YouTube. We're better than Logan Paul. Fuck Logan Paul. Fuck Jake Paul. Fuck all those other fuckers. It's Henry Kissinger's Pokemon going to YouTube.
Man,
we YouTube.
Hey,
I don't know what the fuck this intro is.
Remember how we have a YouTube channel? We should probably put things on it.
Oh yeah. Huh.
This is Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, a leftism podcast by, for, and of the Terminally Online. I'm Sarah, aka Roger Fails.
I'm Caroline, aka Major Katsuragi Misativa.
I had a nickname, but then Sarah said the phrase Tim Ass, and that's all I can think now, so I guess my nickname's Tim Ass now.
We're all Tim Ass.
We are all Tim Ass.
Wait, I'm John Hickenlooper starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Hey, good.
Wait.
The film Looper with Joseph Gordon. Oh, no, wait, no, I'm thinking of a different one. Am I?
No, Looper is the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, whose face has been composited to look like Bruce Willis, which really fucked with me the first time I watched.
What movie am I thinking of that has a loop and also has Jake Gyllenhaal? Or am I just making this up?
Are you thinking of Primer?
No, because that doesn't have Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
Nightcrawler.
This doesn't matter at all.
We need to make a Venn diagram of movies starring Jake Gyllenhaal and movies involving time travel, and eventually we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Hold on, okay, are you thinking of Velvet Buzzsaw?
No.
Are you thinking of Spider-Man Far From Home?
No. I must have just thought he's in Looper.
No, you're thinking of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
I mean, I wasn't, but it works.
You are now thinking of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Inception.
He played someone named Detective Loki in a movie called Prisoners.
Getting some real deep lore on Jake Gyllenhaal on the pod today.
It was the movie Source Code that I was thinking of, I think.
What the fuck is that? That sounds bad.
It's a movie with a time loop.
Okay.
There's a lot of those.
Sure.
Yep.
Alright. So do you want to start off with some bad shit, or you want to start off with some good shit?
Oh, you know I want to start out with the bad shit.
Lay it on me.
Let's get the bad stuff out of the way. So, Oregon.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about Oregon? So and I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was I believe it was the Oregon Senate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got you, Sarah. The Oregon heavily Democratic-controlled Senate was slated, or allegedly slated, some murky details coming out now, but they were going to pass House Bill 2020, which is a piece of climate legislation focusing on capping carbon emissions and trading. Then last week, I think, 11 Republican senators decided that doing their job and showing up to a vote, even if it's just a vote no, is somehow tantamount to being a political prisoner or something, and so they all just fled the state to Idaho in an undisclosed location. So presumably they're just all the dozens of white nationalist militias that permeate the Pacific Northwest and into the northern Rocky Mountains, in Idaho and Montana. They're all in league, and
there are heavily armed white supremacist militia, not white supremacists. I mean,
yes, white supremacists.
Essentially, white supremacists.
Well, there's
militias.
Explicit white supremacist militias and not explicit but still white supremacist militias.
Cool, that's great.
And so the Oregon Democratic State Governor Kate Brown decided that she was going to use a provision in the legal code to compel these state senators to return by saying that she was going to send out the cops, the state troopers, after them to arrest them, because apparently they can do that under Oregon law, and also issue a $500 fine for every day they don't show up. Turns out that blue lives don't really matter, according to the Republican senators, because one of them said, if the police are coming, they better come heavily armed. And he was also an ex-troop, so probably did some really cool things overseas. And now, as of this week, it's just been a standoff with, escalating violent threats from Republicans and, militias massing across the state or whatever, a really contentious issue. And today, the absolute noodles that is the Democratic Party in Oregon, really the Democratic Party everywhere, said that, yeah, this bill is probably dead. We're not going to have a vote on it. The 11 senators who fled are still missing in action as far as I can tell. And now the Senate Majority Leader and the President of the Senate in Oregon are backtracking and saying that, well, we may not have had the 16 out of the 18 votes we needed to pass this in the first place. So we may have never been able to pass it. So look over there, squirrel, don't look at us. Clearly capitulating to authoritarian, like a straight up coup d'etat.
So why did them leaving just stop the process? Like, Democrats in the, like,
I
this is
am
just me
not
understanding.
sure.
Because
did they need like quorum? Did they need a certain number of people to actually be able to pass it?
In the articles that I read about it, there was the word quorum, but I have no idea what that meant. So
it just means like a minimum number of people need to show up for a vote to be binding.
Yeah, that's the issue.
So fucking stupid.
And everyone is, of course, all the activists in Oregon are furious at the Senate Democrats for being so fucking useless, and like asking, like, okay, so if you didn't have the votes for this climate bill, a reporter asked the majority leader why you didn't whip their caucus, why didn't you whip your caucus into line? The response was which, quote, "It doesn't work that way," unquote.
That's literally the point of a whip!
No, it's not.
I'm gonna peek my microphone. I had to cover my hands.
I really wish this blackberry tangerine delicious Wegmans sparkling water was a beer instead.
I'll drink the beer in your honor. I have a fresh Mill Street organic lager. Not sponsored.
So yeah, militias are good actually and effective, and I feel like
while this was all going on, like the Oregon GOP Twitter account was like just openly like making light of the whole thing, and like they posted a picture of, I guess, a recent a protest.
Yeah, it was an old protest,
Senate building,
right?
with just like people. I don't remember what the issue was, but it's just like people holding signs in support or opposed to some bill or whatever. Maybe like 50 people on the steps of the State House, and the caption they posted, the picture was like, "Oh, look at these like terrorist, violent threats, undermining Oregon's democracy," or whatever, like making fun of the idea that a senator openly threatening to gun down police is somehow not an absolutely wild thing to happen. Like, that's just
God,
normal
you know
part
what,
of the democratic process.
Wouldn't it have been fucking sick if it escalated and a bunch of Republican senators and militiamen died in a firefight?
Versus the cops, and like the Republican senators are involved? I mean,
it's like a reverse Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we win.
We win, yeah. Well, we lose too, but in a very fleeting sense, we win.
There's like a quadrant, like a what's the thing in genetics, like the
Punnett square.
The Punnett squares. Thank you. Yes. I'm just imagining that there was a Punnett square of whoever wins, we win, whoever loses, we win, whoever wins, we lose, and whoever loses, we lose.
We just have to get Alex Leafcrunch on this.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds like a job for Alex Leafcrunch.
Master of charts. Local chart witch.
And a little fun postscript to the ongoing, but seemingly it seems to have finished now. The Oregon saga is on a very not a really good website called Reddit.com. There's a subreddit for Trump supporters called The Donald, and as of today, they have been officially quarantined for making tons of violent threats against those police officers.
I want to chime in and say, I genuinely think this is a worse measure than doing nothing, as they have continued to do for that subreddit. I genuinely think this is a worse move for.
Oh yeah, well it's victimizing them while still allowing them to organize on the platform.
Yes, exactly, 100%. There is no good that it does, except for now there are people who are sympathetic to the cause who would not otherwise be. Like, if they wanted to stamp this out, they could have just banned it. And Reddit's gotten pretty litigious about banning bad subreddits recently. Like, they banned, what the fuck was it, like Friend World or something?
Well,
that was just like a...
the Reddit pattern is whenever there is some sort of news story in the mainstream press about, like, all these terrorist cells forming on Reddit, that's when they act, and not a heartbeat before.
Yeah.
And there was a post or an article in Media Matters talking about, hey, here's a chronicle of all these wild, insane threats that the chuds are making towards the cops on this subreddit. And next day, bye. Bye-bye.
I can just imagine, though, like, if it was, like, the fucking, whatever the Bernie memes subreddit is, if they, like, largely started making threats, they would just have the subreddit deleted.
Well, the more recent thing that's happened is the Chapo sub got an official warning or something a few weeks ago because people were posting about murdering slave owners.
Oh, cool! The famously bad thing of doing that.
The famously bad thing to do.
Yeah, it's great.
You know it's bad because Quentin Tarantino thinks it's good.
Speaking of online hell, y'all want to talk about the detention centers? There's an even, like, more sanitized euphemism. Like, the people talking about it officially don't even say detention centers. It's like temporary influx shelters.
Temporary migrant holding area. It's the migrant DMV line.
Just for an influx. And it's a shelter.
Yeah.
So this is on the back of there was I don't remember who published it, but one of, like, the major news publications put out a story that was saying that, like, the people in these concentration camps at the border, the ICE concentration camps, are not being allowed access to, like, soap.
There was a New York Times expose, and it included a detail where there, I think something like a large amount of children, so at least 20 children were given, like, 2 lice combs between them, and one of the lice combs became lost, and in response, the guards took away those children's blankets and beds.
Okay. I just, like, the whole thing about this, it's just, like, it's like this escalating, like, politeness war on trying to describe these things. And it's like, the left never wants... I mean, not the left, sorry. Like, the libs don't want to get too, like, handsy with these terms. And they keep letting the right get away with more and more...
Chris Hayes the other week was like, hey guys, I understand this is bad, but we really shouldn't use concentration camps because it's a loaded term. And everyone was like, shut the fuck up, Chris Hayes. You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Like
the best one is that he said Godwin's Law in it. And then the guy who Godwin's Law is named after said, nope, seems kind of like concentration camps to me, buddy.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? It's completely escaping my brain now. AOC, this kind of exploded into a bit of a fever pitch, I guess, because AOC, I remembered what I was gonna say, sorry. Is that the Democrats don't want these things closed, is that they want the people who are working there replaced with people who they would consider nicer concentration camp guards.
Yeah, of course.
It's literally just hire more women guards.
Yeah. Basically, what keeps happening is that the right will do more and more heinous things, like going back to the first story here, like they literally abdicated their responsibility and threatened armed resistance. And Democrats are like, oh, I guess we're not going to pass the legislation then. So like,
the Overton window is just in free fall. Like,
yeah, and like the Democrats won't even like reach a hand out and like strap a quick parachute to it. They're just like, oh well, I guess if that's the way it's going then.
Yeah, they're focusing on winning over the diner, like, white guy diner voters.
That's it. It's literally just white guy diners.
Mm-hmm. I say that because AOC had a good quote the other day about, like, Joe Biden, where she says, like, the Democratic Party is expending all of this energy chasing just this one specific tiny niche of white diner voters, and in the process depressing turnout of everyone else, but they don't care as long as they get the diner voter.
Yeah.
It's like, I still cannot possibly fathom why the main thing Democrats aren't doing is fighting voter disenfranchisement. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Fighting the concentrate, like, this is the easy, like, not to politicize this. I mean, I know it is inherently political, but, like, not to, like, remove this from the human element, but, like, this is the easiest slam dunk of, like, any campaign of any time. Just, like, we are literally, like, torturing children at the border, and the Democrats just won't shut the fuck up about, like, socialism being scary or what the fuck ever.
Like the
just...
Democratic debates are, the first one is tonight, baby.
Hell yeah.
It's happening, like, as we speak. And you know that if this comes up at all, there's going to be someone who's going to refute that it's a concentration camp. And it's probably going to be fucking Andrew Yang or something. That fucking clown.
So, just a quick rundown of who's on which side of the debates. Also, I just saw a still from the 2015 debate stage, and Hillary is dead center, and it scared the shit out of me.
What if she just showed up on the stage? She just walks back in.
I'm still with her. We are all still with her.
Okay, so just a reminder, tonight's debate has Bill de Blasio, Tim Ryan, Julian Castro, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, Tulsi Gabbard, Jay Inslee, and John Delaney.
I saw
From what I've seen, Julian Castro seems pretty cool.
Yeah, like, Julian Castro has a chance of showing up, because, like, I like, that's pretty much all I've heard about him, that, like, people I trust think he's pretty good, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Hey, for Sarah, I think you may have missed a couple names. Also on tonight is Beto, Amy Klobuchar, Liz Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, Jay Inslee. I think that hits everybody. And you probably said some of those, but, like, all of these are the same people, so it goes in one ear and out the other. But anyway,
like, you could have just slipped in, like, Solid Snake, and I just wouldn't have noticed. Like, you could have just put another name in there. Tomorrow,
there are 5 people I don't know who they're, like, who is Marianne Williamson? Literally never heard that name before. Who is Michael
look
Bennett?
Up Marianne Williamson.
Who is Eric Swalwell? Eric Swalwell's last name sounds like a fucking bird Pokemon. Like, that sounds like the Pidgey of Gen 8.
I saw a tweet within the past hour of a journalist who is at the debates right now, and they said, I saw, who was it? Yeah, I saw John Delaney, being apprehended by security guards asking if, he needed a press pass, and he goes, "I'm a candidate."
Fucking folks!
And if that doesn't say it all.
Oh my god. I like to imagine that, like, at least one person has shown up. Like, I mean, I'm sure all the other Democrats are there, but, like, at least one person is, like, I'm just imagining Andrew Yang saying, "No, I am supposed to be on the stage tonight. Your schedule is wrong."
Where's Mike Gravel?
Where is Mike Gravel?
He didn't make it.
He didn't make it.
Mike Gravel found dead in Miami, unfortunately.
Well, no, he's not in Miami. That's where the debates
are.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That worked out nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's being Weekend at Bernie's by 2 teens, so...
Yeah.
They're just gonna bring him in the audience and just kind of wave his arms around.
We mentioned the diner voter earlier. Speaking of diner voters, Eric Trump got spit on at a fucking restaurant.
Hell yeah, bitch!
Spit on Eric Trump.
This is really more of a shout-out, but I had the segue and I didn't want to lose it.
Yeah, no. He got arrested by the Secret Service, which sucks. It should be illegal to spit.
It should absolutely be
but
legal
only
to
on
spit.
Trumps.
Yeah. Thing is...
Like, barefoot is legal, except for spit is legal.
Don't like it.
I don't like... those two are, like, my least favorite things in the world. Like...
I guess that means by the transitive property that sucking toes is legal.
I mean...
Anyway, spitting on Eric Trump. Let's get back to it.
Matt defeated me with his facts and logic, and now I have to admit that sucking Eric Trump's toes is legal.
Anyway, if I was a skinny hot girl, I would say that spitting on Eric Trump is praxis.
Praxis. I can't see the voice, but
it's too good.
We're covering some drama this week.
Do we want to talk about our favorite leftism podcast, which is Red
Scare?
I
don't want to talk about it for too long. I was thinking earlier, like, I really don't want to talk about this for too long, but it's worth a shout out. So, especially because of how the discourse has accelerated to this point today, there's a new development that's really funny.
Oh, good.
So
I haven't found this yet.
I'll get there. It doesn't involve any of the key players. It's just an elevated discourse. It's like the Galaxy Brain take.
Naturally.
Anyway, so I guess over the past week or something, Louis C.K. performed and got a standing ovation. Sex creep Louis C.K.
Of note, I believe I saw somewhere that this is a venue that did not have very many seats.
See, Sarah, I hate to tell you this, but I also saw that, and I looked it up before recording to make sure it was true, and it's not. There's a video of it, and people are clearly sitting down and standing. But it would be really funny if it was.
It would be really funny if that thing was true. Never mind. God fucking damn it.
So, I think she does, I don't remember the name of that wrestling podcast, but one of the hosts of a pretty popular comedy wrestling podcast, Kath Barbato is, I think, her name, who does stand-up comedy and is active in that scene, made a post or did an article over Vox about hey, if you hire Louis C.K. to do a set, you are creating. That's a workplace hazard for female comedians. That I am not safe when doing that, because that's who he preyed on, and he used his success in that field to prey on women and then cover it up by strong-arming, using his really powerful manager to strong-arm them into silence, etc. And so there's this strain on the extremely online of anti-id Paul left, where it's sort of extrapolating from the obvious thing that we can all see, which is that corporations are, and the Hillary Clintons and Mira Tandons of the world are exploiting woke language and feminist principles or pro-LGBT policies to make a shallow appeal at looking socially progressive while still advancing really harmful and inequitable capitalist policies, and as a way to get away with those capitalist policies.
Yeah.
So there's a strain of people on the left who think that means that the actual feminism and not being a shitty edgelord is somehow, like we said earlier, praxis, and that's actually itself neoliberal, and it's actually leftist to be culturally conservative, and say the ladies of the podcast who were talking about Red Scare too, that for example, if women who don't want to be taken care of by a man are either lesbians or liars. A non-social related take is that climate change is a bourgeois issue to care about. So this
can you rewind that thing? Caroline, can you rewind for a second to that take you just said before the climate change thing?
Mm-hmm.
Something about lesbians and liars. I just want to hear that take again. That one back again.
If you are a woman and your basic desire is not to have your life run and taken care of by a man, you are a lesbian or you are a liar.
Well, I mean, one of those is true for me.
Yeah.
But also that's an extremely homophobic statement.
Yeah, and
also, I'm very mad about it.
Stuff I don't know, just really, just all the typical edgelord internet takes.
Yeah, they're big on ableism, and when questioned about it, it's we literally don't care enough about disabled people to have an opinion on this.
Yeah,
and
so
they hate people who are overweight. They're just really just horrible in pretty much every way.
Yeah, so the latest take from them that everyone was mad about this week was that Kath is being a hysterical harpy for caring about Louis C.K. and that Louis C.K. did nothing wrong and that Louis C.K. is a martyred worker, basically, that he should be allowed to go back on his job because, and then I saw, they didn't say this themselves, but they retweeted someone really Louis C.K. is the most safe person to be around because he's already been accused as a creep, so he's not gonna do anything now, and you would be safer around Louis C.K.
how that shit works. You know how that works. How that how that historically works and has worked, and how everyone who's ever been caught with their hand in the cookie jar says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again," and never touches the fucking cookie jar again in their lives. You know, how that works.
I was on 2013 Tumblr. I know that's bullshit.
And so that's the latest state of the discourse online, where we're bringing it up not to not to be like a YouTube drama account or whatever, but just to like take notice of this increasing tendency on the online left of people breaking with like of just becoming like tradcasts basically, except without like the Catholicism. And like just know that it's not edgy and it's not cool. You're just being a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian and being really harmful in the process of doing so. Which leads us to today's take, which is that being mad. This is not from one of the Red Scare people, but it's from another like anti-idpol woman who I've never seen before. But there's more and more of them every day. For
the dumb of ass like myself, what is idpol?
Identity politics.
Okay.
Okay. So like,
I've not heard the term.
Anti-idpol is like, or like idpol is like the leftist way of saying SJW essentially. So people who are obsessed with that are obsessed with the SJWs, except they think they're communist. Which leads us to today's take, where some woman posted that being mad at Louis C.K. is kink shaming.
Well, that's it, folks. I'm deleting the whole podcast.
Yep.
I'm deleting the whole thing. Going out on a strong one. It's episode number 69.
Nice.
And it's real fucking nice.
Have we not talked about how it's episode 69 yet?
We actually haven't. This is the first time it's coming up, and it's right after you said kink shaming.
Nice.
Let's get off of this. I feel like if we say Red Scare one more time, the hosts of the podcast are going to shoot me in the head for being fat and gay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll retweet the good parody of Red Scare that went around the last couple of days that they are absolutely not at all mad about.
Furious about. Yeah, they haven't been like tweeting like sly bigs about it for like 5 days now, or I haven't like checked their Twitter feed since the video was posted, but they weren't happy.
Like, you cannot like measure. I feel like you cannot measure your takes by this, especially if you are a woman. But if you are like just courting an entire, like if your mention section is just full of men that you were agreeing with, if you just basically have reply guys that you are retweeting incessantly, you've done something wrong at some point in your life.
Yeah, I think their whole audience is reply guys. I would
like to add at a footnote that there is obviously the reply guy and like the pick me thing going on, but there's also like I don't know, it's kind of hard to analyze, but there's something like more where it's not, they aren't like entirely obsessed with like getting approval from men. It's more like they're obsessed with being better than all other women, is how I would put it.
Yeah. And
capitulating to like ancient dinosaur age gender roles is part of that, I think, because feminism is now popular among most like young online liberal or leftist minded women. Anyway, what else we got on the docket, y'all?
It's not on the docket, but I guess it's something that I kind of wanted to shout out personally, is, Games Done Quick is happening this week, and there is a rumor that is being floated around, that has apparently been floated around multiple times in the last 6 months, that, there is an extremely well-doctored screenshot, and by quote, well-doctored screenshot, I mean inspect element edit done to a page for Games Done Quick being the major speedrunning marathon.
Yeah.
There was an extremely skillful edit of a GDQ page to make it look like they are discussing a station 4 post sexual reassignment surgery dilation. You know, for those not in the know, basically you have to dilate your cyber pussy in order to just like make sure that it like heals properly.
Yeah.
Basically you are medically required to jack off twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And there's just a doctored image going around that's saying, because there are so many trans women at this event, we have decided to offer dilation stations. Please be courteous to people using them in public. Which is very funny on like many, many levels, but on top of that it's really upsetting because so many people just like are taking it at face value, even people who like would normally not be got by stuff like that, I feel like.
It sure is like it must be super fun, just the fact that anytime a trans woman is on screen at GDQ they have to lock the chat, huh?
Like, do you know how many, there are 3 trans women running at this Games Done Quick?
Yeah.
3, that's it. Like,
it's nowhere near a majority of runners.
Like, it's more, these are more frequent, so it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but, like, if you turn on, like, a Smash Brothers tournament on a weekend, you are going to see more trans women than you see at, like, a Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
Like, it's just infuriating, and chuds are, out in full force, as always.
As always.
Mhm.
Just, like, go and watch the Streets of Rage run that was on a couple of days ago, and just see people just dancing to the good Yuzo Koshiro tunes. And it's like 35 minutes, and it's just a good investment of your time. And there's no chuds on that one.
Also, watch the Blindfolded Punch-Out run.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
That run was so good.
So like a lot of the other stuff on our docket is stuff we had from last week, which we can kind of discuss in brief because it's older news now, but it's still important stuff.
Yeah. So the first story that we had was the one that went around from The Verge about the Facebook moderators.
I feel like we've covered separate stories about this before, right?
Yeah, there was.
What's that?
This.
There was another story about
this particular
them, but this is the first time
story
people...
was a follow-up of the last story we talked about.
Yep. And this was a story in which people actually went on the record, which was not like people were like first and last name on the record, breaking their NDAs for this one.
Right, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think the moderators reached out to the reporter, not vice versa.
Yeah, that makes sense. After the last one had come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just some good reporting from The Verge in general.
Yeah, just like a sort of a harrowing follow-up to that expose from a couple of months ago about how Facebook's like
third-party moderators are treated
third-party
in the
moderating
workplace.
that's done like off-site by like in like some of the worst conditions possible, and people are just like exposing themselves to PTSD, like
just 18-hour days in a sweaty warehouse watching snuff films.
Yeah, big warning for that video, big warning for that article. It gets pretty explicit with some animal death at a couple of points. There are paragraphs dedicated to explaining animal deaths that have been captured on video, and it can be upsetting. There's a lot in that article that's potentially upsetting, but I feel like that was a
real tough one.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Facebook, just
this just seems to be like a long running trend of pieces about tech coming out, and then another piece about the same thing comes out, and hopefully like something could get done. Because like I feel like we're on like our 5th consecutive story about like crunch and also PTSD in game developers right now. Like there was a Call of Duty one that came out today. There was one about NetherRealm Studios for Mortal Kombat 11 recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where like the developers who were in charge of like making the fatalities were just like watching just more and more horrible shit so they can have like more inspiration to make the fatalities. And it just seems like
getting the anatomical details of the gore exactly right.
Yeah, like tech needs better labor standards. I think is just the long and short of any of these articles.
Sure.
And like no amount of like third-party contracting should be like allowed for them to essentially eschew the responsibility for providing that environment. Because that's how they do it, right? That just like you push it off onto someone else, then it's not their problem. Especially if they're outsourcing it to countries with more lax labor standards. Which is why you should always support labor standards abroad as much as you support labor standards locally. Because the outsourcing is also part of the problem. Because like a lot of the, I know Facebook moderation was at one point like farmed out to India a lot too. I'm not sure if that was in this article as well.
All of these major social media companies farm it out to countries where the minimum wage is much, 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 much lower.
Yeah. Another story from the previous week that we couldn't get to since we did not episode last week. There was the big explosion in Philly of the oil refinery. So this one's like just the brief part of the story that I feel like doesn't seem to get mentioned very much is that it was like explicitly built into a low-income neighborhood. And the effects of this plant when it was running properly were creating like particulate levels in the air that were like well above accepted norms. And the explosion of it, of course, just made these things worse. And just keep in mind whenever you see something about some kind of resource explosion that it's going to be the people of low income nearby, who are almost always nearby because of how these districts are made, that are going to be like disproportionately affected by it.
Yep.
And then
like the CEO did not get lit up in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory.
And Christ, I feel like the Iran story has moved like 8 levels past where it was last week, and I don't feel enough to talk about it. But America wants war on Iran again.
Yeah,
I feel like it's developed so fast.
So we were about to go to war with Iran last week, and we were about to do an actual military strike that would have killed, I think, like 150 people over our sadly martyred noble robot warrior. Just like a shitty robot flew into Iranian
A shitty
airspace.
$150 million robot.
A shitty $150 million robot flew into Iranian airspace, and they shot it down, and that was apparently cause to bomb them and start a massive war and kill 150 people. And we were all set to do it, but our Galaxy Brain president, 30 minutes before the strike was set to go, decided that he just didn't really feel like it.
Just kind of got bored.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like the time since this has basically just been like an escalation of rhetoric to the point where Iran's just like, there is no possible peace with the American administration. So that's cool.
And all of the articles about it since the strike was called off was really funny because it includes lines like the United States withdrew from the 2015 deal last summer, but it says that it still expects Iran to abide by the provisions in it. Like,
Which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Deal is. You think that President Deals, of all people, would understand the basics of a deal, but I guess not.
I mean, yeah, he understands the basics of the deal, which is the deal is that he gets to do what he wants, and fuck you.
Now I'm just thinking of a story. It's not on our docket, but Jared Kushner's like giant Middle East peace plan was floated. Was floated at the a regional meeting in Bahrain. Mm-hmm. And it was like some kind of like $40 billion cash infusion to like a bunch of different nations around the area. And it was just roundly rejected by absolutely everyone except for like Israel.
I can't believe we didn't put this in the docket, but speaking of $40 billion cash infusions, Bernie wants to cancel it.
Yeah.
Cancel culture. It's good again, folks.
Student debt is canceled, sis.
You said 40 billion, but it's like, 50 times more than that.
Yeah, it's like $1.5 trillion.
God, I love to live in hell forever.
Which is a normal amount of money that the human brain can definitely conceptualize.
It's less money than the Pentagon has lost to accounting fraud.
Hell yes.
So basically this is Bernie is introducing a bill, and it's co-signed. It's being like speared by him, Ilhan Omar, and who was the third person?
I think it is Pramila Jayapal.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that sounds about right. But yeah, they're putting forth a bill to just cancel all of student debt, and it's made online unusable because Lib Twitter is saying that he is just doing a shotgun blast as opposed to a shotgun blast version of Elizabeth Warren's sniper precision student debt reduction plan. And
I've seen so many dumb shit cases about this.
Don't get me wrong, Warren's is it's better than the nothing that every other Democratic candidate has on this topic. But also it's more needlessly complicated than it needs to be, which is just cancel it. Get rid of it. Just get rid of that shit, bro. Yeah. But now the third way is like quintupling down on Warren around this. Yeah. And do either of you have a concrete enough grasp on the third way to explain it? I mean, it's I guess Bill Clinton was like a prominent like third way person, so the like Clintonite 90s and like the very like centrist politics of that. I mean,
it's just radical centrism.
Yeah, but like the actual like term third way hasn't been politically relevant in like some time, as Ocasio-Cortez pointed out on Twitter. It's just like a Wall Street front. She said like I meet like a ton of Trump voters, I meet a ton of independent voters. I have never in my life met a fucking third wave voter. No, that's not a real person.
They're not real.
You're just a bunch of banks behind a computer.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this is like it's like, even if like let's say Bernie has absolutely no plan, which he does. Like there's ways he proposed to pay for it.
I think a tax on Wall Street speculation.
Yeah, fuck yeah, first of all. But even if there wasn't, the country holding sovereign debt is not the same thing as people holding personal debt.
Mm-hmm.
They have different interest rates. They're able to create currency. They're able to raise revenue through taxation. Like, these are all they're incomparable situations. And like levying like the millions and millions of people who are financially burdened by these things, even with no plan, would create more economic benefit than having them continue to suffer with that debt load. Like, even if there's no plan, at worst case scenario, it's still an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm someone who paid off all his student loans within a year because I was able to. I was able to live rent-free and work full-time in a place where minimum wage is, like, you know, a little bit higher. And I was lucky enough to be able to finish off mine in, like, a pretty short order. But if they wanted to cancel everyone else's, I wouldn't be fucking mad because I'm not a sociopath. Like, I want things to improve. If I want things to be better for people after me.
Right,
like, it just fucking makes sense.
I saw, someone on Twitter the other day retweeted a news article from 2016 that was like, Hillary Clinton proposes canceling student debt for entrepreneurs.
Oh my god. It's just
Still with her. What's an entrepreneur,
Hillary Clinton proposes tax credit on student loan interest payments.
Thanks, Hillary.
Like,
we love you, queen.
Now I'm just looking at the Daily Wire tweet that I found earlier. 5 minutes before student debt is canceled. Ring, ring, college. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Student. Hi,
Ben
I'd like
Parrish.
10 tuitions, please.
Knock, knock. Phone ring 3 a.m. You say you want 10 tuitions. I'm on the way. How's that for a dated meme, you fucks?
It's good. It's a vintage.
But Sarah, who was phone?
Who was phone?
We'll never know.
Hold on, guys. I have to go slice his bed. Just a second.
Watch out and see you don't accidentally the whole thing.
Holy shit. That's a...
Jesus Christ.
Do you want to finish off with the NRA?
Well, no, there's a couple of things. I'd like to lead into the end with the NRA, but the NRA is going bankrupt, and they've canceled NRA TV, meaning Dana Loesch is out of a job.
Eat shit, Dana Lash.
Bye-bye.
God.
Bye-bye.
But yeah, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, so the literal only silver lining to this presidency is that the NRA is going completely bankrupt, because if Hillary had won, there would have been a massive influx in memberships to the NRA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
The NRA is not going to make it through Trump's definite 8 years of presidency.
Yep. Which is, it's
we
good.
Love
and
it.
We do love it. Duncan Hunter, we talked about him a few months ago because he was the gamer senator who used, politician funds in order to buy Steam games.
Oh yeah, and it's Steam Summer Sale, folks.
He was also the vaping congressman. One of his early moments of fame was when he started vaping on the House floor when he was speaking to oppose a bill that would ban vaping on airplanes.
And his name is Duncan Hunter.
Yeah.
But most recently, he's in hot water because he is now the congressman wife guy.
I'm so glad we have yet another wife guy to discuss. May the parade of wife guys never end.
A rare plumage.
His wife, I'm not entirely sure what, it was like part of a plea deal or something, but she like completely snitched on him, and it was like, oh yeah, he's used like $200,000 of campaign funds to cheat on me with women around the country.
He was also previously, some of that campaign funds went into buying like a bunch of plane tickets for a pet rabbit, I think.
I mean, I support that.
Yeah, that's good.
I do unfortunately have to, I am legally required to stand that, unfortunately.
Duncan Hunter is good now, actually.
Yeah, we are a pro Duncan Hunter podcast.
Well, I mean, I gotta say...
Duncan Hunter is Pokemon going to live forever.
Yeah, I gotta say, embezzling campaign funds to buy Steam games is also something I can support. Anyone stupid enough to give him money deserves to lose the money.
I remember when one of my friends in high school started a Pokemon club for the sole purpose of embezzling funds for the school to buy the new Pokemon game. So
fucking amazing.
Deal.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Nice.
Fucking legends only.
The last shout out that we have before we transition to questions and Lightbringers is that Bernie's a gamer now.
Oh shit! We didn't mention Bernie being a gamer.
Bernie's a gamer.
So this is very funny because I don't know if you two would have seen this, but like 2 years, when was it? Whenever that photo of Bernie standing in front of his television watching the debates, like
yeah,
I remember that
motherfucker looking. My friend Pidge, who is a speedrunner, they did a Twitch stream where their stream was
on the TV?
streams set up. Yeah, it was on the TV.
That's a perfect frame.
Very good.
So cyclically, Bernie Sandler's is now required to have my friend Pidge on his Twitch stream.
It's true.
What game is he going to stream first?
Undertale.
It's going to be Undertale, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Bernie Sanders play Undertale and cry on stream.
Oh, God. I can't do an impression of his voice, but I would like to hear someone do an impression of his voice and say Toriel.
Let Bernie say Toriel.
Reminds you, that just makes me think of a tweet that I saw the other day that was like, Travis Touchdown finishes playing Undertale having bawled his eyes out, closes the program, and then immediately opens his browser to Google Toriel hentai.
No More Heroes 3 coming soon to Nintendo Switch.
Fuck yeah, it is.
So we actually have questions.
Yeah, I think so. Pierre the Disaster wants to know, gamers, what's the morality of, as a lefty, choosing to work for a known unethical company like Facebook or Amazon? On one hand, we all know how twisted they are, but on the other hand, it's like my field's dream career, and maybe there's a possibility of making a difference from the inside. Is that me being too much of a dreamer?
I'm gonna say, wanting to make change from the inside is, yes, you being too much of a dreamer, because it's just, pretty much fundamentally impossible to do anything other than at the administrative level, unless you manage to do something collectively. So, if you go in and unionize Facebook, then all the fucking power to you.
Mm-hmm. But try not to get killed by any Pinkertons.
Yeah.
Because they definitely will try to
Toadette.
you.
Toadette in Mario Maker 2 blames the Union for slow construction, because Toadette is a Pinkerton and will be first against the wall in the revolution. Yep. But as for the morality of working for these companies, you fucking gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Focus on collective power, but at the same time, you still gotta eat.
Especially in the field of tech, because there's just these monopolies. You can't not work for someone.
There's no ethical option.
Some Elon Musk freak.
Yeah. If you see Mark Zuckerberg though, fucking, I don't know, tackle his ass or something.
Have you guys seen the video compilation of Mark Zuckerberg saying "sweet baby ribs" on stream?
What?
I'll go find it.
Have you seen that video of him saying of him doing a Facebook live
No,
stream?
Sweet Baby Ray's. Okay.
When he's doing a Facebook live stream and he says, "What does give me the Zuck mean?"
Oh boy. There's so many levels you need to explain.
Anyways, we have another question. This one from Anonymous. @Matt, joking about if anyone remembers Funny Junk and about internet giving kids brainworms. I spent 2011 to 2013, ages 12 to 15, and honest to God, those 2 years gave me genuinely horrible brainworms, some I still haven't recovered from. Most places, especially places like this, are such extremely fucking shitty places for young, impressionable kids to be in. For me, it was because of a total unsupervised free reign over the internet as a kid. It led to some horrible stuff to change the course of my life. Honestly, my question is, how do you think a parent should prevent something like this without being invasive of their child's privacy? Side note, by brainworms, I don't just mean shitty politics brainworms.
Yeah, I do think that up until age 13 or 14 or so, you should really monitor your child's internet access, because I remember the same thing. I remember getting not immersed, but being intrigued by 4chan at age, I must have been 11 or 10. And then I was on Reddit for a couple years, and I myself was fine, and I was never permanently affected by any of that stuff. It was just any other stupid preteen phase that you would have, but that's not, most people aren't like that. And if you don't do the whether or not you get out of that is not a matter of who you are, but just entirely coincidental. If
where you end up,
just wandering down internet rabbit holes is how you get there in the first place, and just wandering down more is how you leave it. If you just stay there, it's not good.
Yeah. I don't really have too much to input on this because like the worst website that I went to a lot as a kid was like The Escapist.
Yeah. The main thing though is like as far as like monitoring your kids' internet use, like you need to be upfront about it is the thing.
Oh sure, yeah.
Like there's a certain level of invasion of child privacy that just means they're not going to trust you. And that's kind of how I felt whenever my parents would look at web history and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have like honest conversations.
Be upfront with the rules instead of like installing like a keyboard logger on your kid's computer and then like ambushing them with the findings.
Yeah, or like reading their email. Like that kind of shit. Like that shit's not okay. Yeah. Like you just need to be having honest conversations with your kid. Like if you're just talking to your kid regularly and like then if something shitty's coming up in their head, then they're gonna say it out loud, and then you could discuss things with them. And like, you really just need to be honest with them.
Yeah, and also just be honest about like what's on the internet that they might run into, and like why that stuff is like morally bankrupt and wrong.
Also, the internet is 1,000% worse for kids now than it was, but because this person specifies that they were ages like 12 to 15 in 2011 to 2013.
Yeah,
and I don't remember your two ages off the top of my head, but like 2011 to 2013, that was like me from like 16 to 18. Like,
I was 11 in like fucking 2002.
I was 14 to 16, 2011 to 2013.
Like I was already well into my 20s at that point.
We're definitely older than this person.
I'm baby.
Like the internet was so much less like volatile than this.
Like you'd find like the shock sites that would have like that one image of the guy like hacking off his nuts with an axe. I remember that being a thing that was around.
Like the classic shock sites like Lemon Party or whatever it's called.
Yeah. That was most of the worst thing you'd find, unless you explicitly.
Now that's like the front page of YouTube.
Yeah, like to find like really really bad shit before, you pretty much had to end up like literally on Stormfront.
Like following Caroline's rabbit hole metaphor earlier. Like back then, you had to fall down a lot of very specific rabbit holes to get into these positions, and like to get in this now, you need to fall down like the wrong rabbit hole.
The thing is, no, it's not even that. Now, YouTube will lead you down the rabbit hole on purpose.
That too.
And like, another major difference is like back in like I mean like I think the peak of this was like 2005 or whatever, but when I was like sniffing around like the really bad corners of the internet in like 2009, 2010, like back then it was just shock for shock's sake. It didn't follow an explicit political ideology of fascism like it does now. It's just teens trying to scare each other on the internet instead of Nazis trying to recruit kids on the internet.
I mean, they definitely were doing that. It's just they had so much less successful tools to do so because the internet was so compartmentalized. And the fact that the internet is now like 3 websites is so much worse.
And also,
it concentrates everything.
I think like the levels of irony and sincerity are like back then. I don't think the Nazis were like as popular because they didn't like adopt this like language of like memes that they do now. They were like corny, like evangelicals were corny. But now they like speak the same language, and it's so much more insidious because they appeal to you on that's like the basis of fascism, right? Is aesthetics. And so now they've mastered that aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, honest conversations, and don't let your kid go on YouTube with autoplay.
Just don't let your kid go on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, that's probably fine.
Full stop.
I'll just rehost like Lindsay Ellis and Jenny Nicholson videos for you on a different website, so you could watch those because they're like the 2 good YouTubers.
Y'all want to get in the Lightbringers?
Get in the Lightbringers.
Oh shit, I did not think of one. Okay, you guys go first.
Yeah. So my Lightbringer this week is an anime that I might have recommended before I got like really into it with my girlfriend Sophie. It's called Sarazanmai. It is an oh my god, what is this guy's name? Ikuhara, who is probably most well known for his work on Revolutionary Girl Utena. Also did Maruo Penguin Drum and Yurikuma Arashi. It's really good. It's really heartbreaking. The ending fucking slaps, and the opening also fucking rips because it's by Kanabun, and they've done like a bunch of my favorite openings. And the story itself is just really, really good. And I think that it's a very good show. And also in the second episode, someone's cat steals a bag of weed, and they have to chase it down.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Why
And
didn't
also
they just
there's-
let the cat smoke the weed?
And also, there is at the end of the first episode, there is a quote unquote man in a dress moment, but it is genuinely the first time an anime has ever like made me not like immediately just disgusted with their handling of it, which I think is a big bar for an anime to clear. In my opinion.
a bar that like usually is like somewhere around the molten level of the Earth's crust.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that's quite fair. I think it's easier to just not fucking do it.
Yeah.
Than it is, because like doing it well is actually pretty difficult, and like I think that's why people should just be avoiding it.
Yeah.
But I digress. It's good.
My Lightbringer this week, on my continuing trend of only recommending either podcasts or podcast episodes. I've been like trying to like worm my way into some like new regular podcasts because I've been finishing a lot of the archives I was doing. And one of the most recent ones that I've started is 2.0, which Sarah, you might be into this, because one of the hosts of 2.0 is Will Weisenfeld of Baths.
Okay.
And then
hello.
the co-host is his brother. And the idea is they take something and they make a 2.0 version of it that's better. So
All
they've
right,
done
I gotta tune in
like
with
books and toilets and elevators. And the thing that I like about it in particular is that the episodes are only like half an hour, which like I need more podcasts that don't go long. And I'm so far like just in like the 2017 early 2018 part of the archive. But so far it's been really good. And also Bath's like he did the theme for it as well. And so there's just like a nice little bleepy bloop song, and you're just like, man, I just want to listen to some Baths right now because it slaps.
Bath's good.
And so yeah, 2.0. They're very good.
So this is not a media property, but it's just something really cool that I saw and will treasure forever is when last Thursday when I was waiting on the tarmac for my flight to depart,
Yeah.
I was looking out the airplane window and there was a beautiful little boy coyote just scurrying around out on the median. And I was like, holy shit, there is a coyote at the airport. And so I watched him for a couple minutes and he wandered out of view. And then a few minutes later, I see him sprinting back into the tiny porthole afforded to me by my airplane window. And he is in hot pursuit from this orange truck by driving very slowly and deliberately after him. So someone called the cops on a coyote, and
We support you,
Godspeed to
Airport
him.
Coyote.
Critical support for Comrade Coyote. I hope he evaded the cops.
We all hope, and we additionally do stan.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
no choice but to. Is that the podcast?
That's podcast.
That's podcast.
Cool. So, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Because Just Pokemon Going to Die, the terminally online podcast for those, I don't know what, fuck it.
Also, it's
Shut
not
up.
a threat.
Just
It's
a fact.
definitely not a threat and just a fact. You can find us everywhere. HKIPGTD is where we are everywhere. Patreon, Twitter, Facebook. Don't use Facebook, but if you must, we're there. Twitter, Gmail, Tumblr. I already said Patreon, but I'm going to say it again because I'm going to go into the Patreon now. Patreon, $1 a month gets you access to any and all bonus content that we do, which is pre-shows and post-shows, which we haven't really done much of, if I'm being perfectly honest.
We're too efficient now. We just get right into it.
Any extended Lightbringers that we do, and like our new segments cut for time. Those can all be just $1 a month. $5 a month gets you special user stats in our Discord and a shout out in the podcast for being such a good comrade. And $10 a month gets you all of that stuff. Plus, you get to listen to this show live, as we have two people doing right now. I believe we have two. Yes, we do. We also have a third person, but it's Craig, who's our recorder boy. Anyways,
Does Craig deserve rights, be honest? Sorry.
I'm doing this in one breath again because I want to.
Get that Jeff Mangum channeled.
Dr. Hector Visionary, Burgermeister, Stephanie Rock, Pregnant Seinfeld, David Besser, Alex Schaup, Six Arms Sweater, Bryce, Sexual Fish Tank, Bernie Sandor Clegane, Nick Verne, Alex Hoot, Dick Butt is the Real Jesus, Maximilian Rower, Tufster McGee, Kangaroo, Brian, Tmoku, Nick Clarkson, Kadeho, Flo Siegel, Destry Hawk, Siberian Pine Hardwood, Pierre the Disaster, The Tallest Jew, Michael Weems, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Summer Geist, Dijonais, Wooloo Friendship Brigade, Chaz Goblin, Paul Blart, Fleshcart, Ollie Anders, and Ellen. I had so much breath left at the end of that. Like, Jeff, I could have done that, and also the entirety of the chorus.
Is Ellen just Ellen now?
Ellen is no longer the Ellen Leonardo Lalonde is.
Wow, that was like that was our perennial ender.
I know.
Ellen was our computer scare.
Yeah, Ellen, you will always be the anarcho-Lalandius to us.
Yeah. So this has been Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. Not a threat.
Wait, we haven't... Matt, we still have to go around the table and say where people can find us.
Oh, fuck.
My name's Sarah. You can find me on Twitter at Sunhatzhenya, SUNHATZHENYA. You can also check me out on Twitch when I do speedruns, which is twitch.tv/Sunhatzhenya, spelled the exact same. I also did a run for Speedruns Rochester recently with other hosts of the show, Alex, not Leaf Crunch, I did Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. It was
really good.
Fun. Yeah. You can also check me out on other podcasts on this network. Noisepace.xyz. Thank you, Matt GameCube, for
That's me.
Podcast network. Listen to Fear Baiting, which is the horror movie podcast that I do. Friend of the podcast, Val Flight Cub, is going to be on next week. Listen to the Wonder Years, which is the Animorphs reread/rewatch podcast that I do with my friends Blair and Sarah, and that's always a blast to listen to in my personal onion. We also want to thank the Taxpayers for the use of their song Evil Men off of the album Cold Hearted Town, and thank you very much to Reddit user Bisexual Punch Party for running our Reddit, reddit.com/r/HKIPGTD. Where can we find you, folks?
I'm Caroline, and I am on Twitter at CSavage with 2 V's.
I'm Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattGCN. I have 18,000 other podcasts on this network, including Tuning Fork, which is a dive into the Pitchfork media hype machine. We just basically review albums that were lauded by Pitchfork or hated by Pitchfork and give our opinions. Our most recent episode was on St. Vincent, and it was... I don't know why I'm blanking on the album name right now. Whichever one came out in 2011, it was Strange Mercy. And also Giants Confirmed, which is a album-by-album review of They Might Be Giants' entire catalog. The most recent episode on Apollo 18 was just out, and that's me and my friend Trevor. And Elite Full Restore should be back soon. I swear to God, I'm putting it out here. It's going to happen. There's going to be Pokemon podcast again on this goddamn network.
I thought we were a Pokemon podcast.
A real one that actually gets to talk about Pokemon. People get mad at me if I talk about Pokemon for too long.
Anyways, I think that's podcast.
That's podcast.
Yep.
This has been
right.
Henry
This
Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, not a threat, just a fact, and Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
Life can be a challenge. It's never easy when there's so much on the line. But you and I can make a difference. Just look inside. And you will find the Pokemon. Pokemon, 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 just look inside. Pokemon. You will find the Pokemon.
That's deep and true.
Bye-bye.